The first European pawn shops ran in the 1500s, set up by Catholic charities. Today, the U.S. pawn industry earns over $6 billion a year. There are about 11,000 shops operating across the country. But here's the part most people don't know. The real money isn't from selling things, it's from lending, at rates that make credit card companies look generous. We're going to break down exactly what this business costs to open, how the cash actually flows, who's winning at it right now, and what the profit math looks like when you get it right. So what does it actually cost to open a pawn shop? The all-in number is between $150,000 and $300,000. The physical space, lease deposit, build-out, display cases, a real safe, $30,000 to $60,000. Licensing is where new operators get surprised. Every state regulates pawnbroking differently. Some are much stricter than others. You need a state pawn license and a local business permit to start. If you're selling firearms, which most pawn shops do, you need a federal firearms dealer license from the ATF. That's an inspection, a background check, and sometimes a wait of several months. All-in licensing costs $5,000 to $15,000 before your first customer walks in. Security is not optional. You're keeping gold, electronics, and guns in one building. You're a target. Cameras, alarms, reinforced cases, window bars, $10,000 to $20,000. Skip it and you will regret it. Smash and grab hits pawn shops more than almost any other retail type. The biggest line item, though, is working capital. A pawn shop runs on cash. Cash is what you lend. Cash is what you use to buy items from people selling outright. If a customer walks in and you're tapped out, they walk to whoever does have cash. Most operators say you need $75,000 to $100,000 in working capital on day one, on top of everything else, just to run the business. That cash is the engine. It generates every return you make. Add it all up, and a solid mid-size pawn shop costs around $200,000 to open properly. You also need pawn-specific software for compliance reporting, $2,000 to $5,000 a year. Okay, so how do you actually make money with one? Two income streams, pawn loans and retail sales. The loan side is where it gets interesting. Here's exactly how a pawn loan works. A customer brings in a guitar. On the open market, it sells for $500. You loan them $125 against it. They have 30 days to pay that back, plus interest, and get their guitar. In most states, monthly interest on pawn loans runs between 15% and 25%. At 20%, that's $25 on a $125 loan. If they come back, you collect the principal and the interest, you hand back the guitar. If they don't, you own the guitar. You put it on the shelf for $350. Either way, you made money. About 70% to 80% of customers do come back to redeem their items, which means most of your loan book quietly collects interest every single month. Now think about what 20% a month means, annualized. 240% APR. A credit card at 25% annually is considered expensive. Pawn loans look extreme on paper, but they're legal because they're fully secured. The borrower handed over the collateral. You have zero default risk. If they don't pay, you sell the item. That's the deal from the start. This isn't some trick. It's the simplest collateral-backed loan in existence. And for a lot of customers, there's no other option. Many pawn borrowers are unbanked. No credit card, no bank loan, no score. A pawn shop is sometimes the only place they can borrow $150 today. Now the retail side. Items that don't get redeemed go out on the floor. You acquired them at 25% to 40% of market value. You sell at market. Gross margin of 50% to 75%. A grocery store runs about 4% to 5% gross margin. Your pawn floor is running 10 to 15 times that. Best categories are jewelry, tools, electronics, musical instruments, and firearms. Jewelry is the strongest because gold has a fixed, verifiable melt value. Buy below melt, sell above melt. The spread belongs to you every single time. Some shops list inventory on eBay or Facebook Marketplace for faster turns and a bigger buyer pool. And what's the stuff nobody warns you about? The hidden cost that kills new operators isn't slow foot traffic or high rent. It's paying too much for stuff you can't verify. Fake gold is the classic trap. Gold-plated jewelry and solid gold jewelry look completely identical to the untrained eye. You need an acid test kit, an electronic gold tester, and real hands-on experience, Lab-grown diamonds are another trap, visually identical to naturals without specialized equipment. Fake electronics show up constantly. Knockoff earbuds, laptops with dying drives, stolen phones that test clean. Buy enough bad inventory and write-offs, eat your interest income alive. Then, there's the compliance burden. Most states require you to log every transaction, name, address, ID, item description. That report goes to local police, often daily. If a stolen item comes through and you bought it in good faith, you may still surrender it. No reimbursement. You lose the money you paid. Holding period laws make it worse. Many states require a 30-day hold before you can resell purchased items. Your cash is frozen in inventory sitting in the back room for a month. At scale, this can choke your working capital if you're not managing it carefully. Insurance runs a few thousand a year and climbs as your inventory value grows. High-value items need occasional professional appraisals. That costs money every time you call someone in. So who's actually doing this and making real money? Start with Rick Harrison. Rick owns the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in Las Vegas. The shop opened in 1989. Pawn Stars launched on History Channel in 2009. It became the top cable show for a stretch, pulling 8 million viewers per episode. The shop turned into a tourist destination. Lines wrap around the building every day. Rick's estimated net worth is around $9 million. He said publicly the shop was doing well before the cameras. Television just multiplied it. Pawn Stars also changed how America thinks about the whole industry. Before it, most people connected pawn shops with desperation. After it, they looked like deal-making. The whole industry saw increased foot traffic after that show ran. Then there's Les Gold. Les runs American Jewelry and Loan in Detroit. His grandfather started in the pawn business. His father ran it. Les took over and expanded it. He built it into a multi-million-dollar operation and got his own show, Hardcore Pawn, on True TV in 2010. Les talks openly about his philosophy. Grow the loan book. Keep your loan-to-value tight. Never overextend. He doesn't think of himself as a second-hand store. He's a lender who also happens to sell things. That mental model is what separates the operators who win from the ones who plateau. Now for the big picture. FirstCash Holdings. Publicly traded on NASDAQ. Ticker FCFS. Over 3,000 stores across the U.S., Mexico, and Central America. In 2023, they reported revenues of roughly $2.5 billion. $2.5 billion from pawn shops. The Latin America business drives a huge chunk of it. Tens of millions of people in Mexico and Central America are completely unbanked. No credit card, no bank account, no way to borrow money except through a pawn shop. FirstCash built a company worth over $5 billion in market cap by showing up for those customers. Easy Corp is the other major chain. Ticker EZPW. About 1,000 stores, over $1 billion in revenue in 2023. These companies didn't invent anything new. They scaled a model proven over 4,000 years. So how do people blow it? The failure pattern is almost always the same. You overpay for inventory. A customer brings in a laptop. You check eBay. Similar models, $400. You offer $200. Feels conservative, but the battery holds a charge for 20 minutes. The charging port is bent. The screen flickers. It sells, eventually, for $250 after sitting on your shelf for 2 months. One deal may be a $30 loss, not a disaster on its own. Do that 10 times a week and you're erasing your loan interest before it builds. The real problem, this business requires specific, hands-on knowledge. A food truck burns a batch of tacos. They lose the cost of the ingredients. A pawnbroker who misreads a piece of jewelry loses the full purchase price on the spot. You need to know what a cracked screen iPhone actually sells for, not the pristine eBay listing price. You need to know 14 karat from gold-plated zinc before you hand over cash. Operators who come in cold and try to learn on the job lose money in year one. The ones who make it usually came from jewelry, electronics retail, or worked in a pawn shop first. Okay, so what does the money actually look like when it works? Let's build the math for a real single-location shop. Modest. Open about a year. Still growing. 200 active pawn loans at an average size of $150 each. That's a $30,000 loan book. At 20% monthly interest, $6,000 a month in loan interest. every month. Retail floor moves $12,000 in sales per month at a 45% gross margin. That's $5,400 in monthly retail profit. Total gross income $11,400 a month. Expenses: rent at $3,500, one employee at $2,800, insurance and security at $900, MISC at $800. Total overhead $8,000 a month. Net profit $3,400 a month. About $40,000 a year. Not a windfall, but it's yours. It's growing and it compounds. Now here's the optimistic version. A shop that's hit its stride after 3 years. 800 active loans at $200 average, $160,000 loan book at 18% monthly interest, $28,800 a month in interest income. Retail adds $40,000 in monthly sales at 45% margin, $18,000 gross. Total gross $46,800 a month. 2 employees. Better location, higher costs. $20,000 a month overhead. Net profit $26,800 a month. That's $320,000 a year. 1 store. The difference between those two outcomes isn't luck. It's the size of the loan book. Every loan you make earns recurring monthly interest until the customer redeems or forfeits. That's as close to passive income as any retail business gets. This is exactly what Les Gold means when he says the loan book is everything. The retail floor is extra. The loans are the engine. Once you've proven it works at one location, the second shop is easier to build. Because you know what to buy, what to pass on, and how tight to set your loan terms. FirstCash repeated that process over 3,000 times. So, you came in wanting to own a pawn shop. You pictured dusty shelves and lowball offers. What you're actually running is a neighborhood lending operation with a retail floor attached. Customers bring you collateral. You lend against it at rates no bank would go near. When they can't pay back, you sell their stuff at 50% margins. Every person who walks through your door needs you more than you need them. And from that spot, you get to look at whatever they brought in and say, best I can do is $40. And you're probably right.